Here we go.
All right, good evening. Welcome to this, the second of our Fly Connection Q&A sessions. I'm pleased to be able to welcome our guests this evening, Rolf Nylinder, Observational, and Marcus Lemke. Before our guests introduce themselves, I want to just say quickly something about the Fly Connection to all of you. The Fly Connection is a global platform for fly fishing, which we've set up in the hope of trying to create a space for knowledge sharing, for engagement, for citizen science, and for us to all celebrate fly fishing culture together. Not the culture of the industry, you know, the big magazines and the big budget destination, but this culture that we all share and love, which is why it's particularly special to be able to welcome several figures who I think play a role in that culture that all of us enjoy. Before we get to the guests, and I'll ask them to introduce themselves, I just want to say a big thank you to the guys in the core team from the Fly Connection who made this event possible, and also to our guests for being generous enough to give up their time tonight. So, guests, would you be kind enough to introduce yourself? Perhaps would you like to start, Rolf?
Yeah, I'm Rolf. I make fly fishing films, I guess, with my other friends. The two other guys here. And should you take the word now? Should I say anything more? I don't know what I'm doing.
You were born 1988.
Yeah, I was born 1988 in Uppsala, Sweden. Fly fishing a lot. Not so much if I compare myself to the other guest here tonight. Håvard Stubbe.
What an introduction. Hi, Håvard Stubbe here. I'm a jazz musician and a fly fisherman. And I live in Narvik, northern Norway, where I was born. It's a bit above the Arctic Circle. I have two children, a wife, and I own a house. I don't have a dog. I have a Volvo. And, well, I'm a little bit excited at the moment because the season is just about to start up here. And although the weather is really, really bad at the moment, and it's very, very, very cold, it has to start soon at least. So that's a little bit about me, and also a little bit about how I feel at the moment. I feel excited. And my partner in crime up here in the north is Marcus Lemke. Is he around?
Yes, I am around. All right. My name is Marcus Lemke, half German, half Swedish. But I live in Gällivare. It's a mining city up in the northern part of Sweden. And I'm a snowboarder, fly fisher, and I really like the Swedish tobacco snus. If you ever tried that, that's a big interest in my life. I feel very happy when I can take a snus. So yeah, but I'm a pretty basic man. It's not more than that, I would say.
Well, thank you all for the introductions. We're hoping that we're going to have some questions coming in from the audience at some point, but I suppose we might as well make a start with a couple of questions of our own. Maybe start with Rolf. This is not an easy thing to do, of course, Rolf, but if I was to ask you to sort of just give if there are any viewers, a little bit of an idea about how you came to be a fly fishing filmmaker. I'm sure it's a long story, but I'm sure you can compress it into something.
Yeah, I guess it's I was skateboarding a lot, and the skateboarding culture is like everybody's filming each other all the time, doing skateboard tricks, and I wasn't very good at skateboarding, but I was fishing a lot. And then at some point, I think I give all the credit to the Norwegian TV series called Bård och Lars. And I saw that one and I was like, yeah, I could do this, I think. So I tried to copy their style of making films, and I guess I made like a few films every year, and eventually I sort of made them in my own style, I guess.
Yeah, thanks, Rolf. I mean, I think everyone can agree that you do have quite a distinct style, which maybe we'll get the chance to explore a little bit more this evening.
Funny, I started drawing fish because I couldn't skateboard.
Maybe I don't, and then a question for Horvath. So I remember reading somewhere, I don't remember where, that jazz and fly fishing really started up because you were sick of traveling past good fishing spots with other jazz musicians who weren't fishers. Basically, you wanted to find a way of being able to combine your two passions. Is that a kind of good assessment about how you came to what you're doing now?
Well, yeah, actually, it's at least partly true, like most good stories. It is true that I always, when touring with bands, I was always a little bit frustrated that the other musicians very rarely shared my passion for fly fishing. So all the time sitting, looking out the window of the tour bus. But the story of jazz and fly fishing is a lot weirder, actually. It was a Finnish TV producer who came up with the ingenious idea of putting together a band of professional jazz musicians who were also passionate fly fishermen and make a TV series about it. That is the story, the true story. So in a sense, it was a lot like a boy band. It was recruited, well, obviously not, they weren't looking for people with good looks or who had nice dance moves, but they needed like some people who could, fly fish and play music. And that's how that thing came together. And well, it's been a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, but also very, very stressful to combine those two things, because one of them is really enough, and two of them at the same time it's actually too much. But it's stressful, but also a lot of fun.
And so I know that you've just had a new album that dropped, and you've got a tour coming up in the US. Is that right?
That is right. Unfortunately, due to some visa problems, there's this huge, it's a long, boring story about visa applications and work visas. I don't want to bore you with that, but we've had to postpone it until next year. But it's going to happen next June 23. It's because of the COVID, aftermath of the COVID, really. It was impossible to get the work visas in time. But we have the tour lined up, yeah. And it's going to be, I told you earlier when we chatted that I've always dreamed about going to, these classic British chalk streams, which I've never visited. But it would be equally great, I think, to go to to these legendary places in the US to fish and maybe and also play, to play both concerts at venues, concert venues, but also at fly shops and stuff. Yeah, I think it could be, it's going to be fun for sure, but that's next year.
Cool, man. Well, I'm sure we'll look forward to hearing more about it. Yeah, Marcus, I've got a question which is not so much an introductory question, but something I'm very curious about. If I'm not wrong, lemmel is lemming, right? So, as in the small
lemming, yeah.
To the cliff. So how did the name come about? What do lemmings have to do with coffee for you?
Yeah, now I'm gonna tell you a story about how it all started. It was me and Rolf. We went to a place called Observational. It's pretty close to where I live, where the river Laineälven flows. There's also a really nice mountain called Kurmaka there. But we went there fly fishing, me and Rolf, and we met some lemmings. It's it's a small rodent that lives up in the Arctic up here. And every year, it's called the lemmel tåg, like lemmel train. It's called, and it's a very mythic thing. People don't know why all the lemmings gather. But me and Rolf, we were fly fishing, as I said, and we were out in the river, and on the river bank, it came some lemmings and screamed. They're really noisy when you hear them. And yeah, I stood there and I listened to the lemmings, and they screamed. And you know, I tried to listen what they're screaming. Kaffe, kaffe. It's the Swedish word for coffee. So and then it turns out, me and Rolf, we joined the lemmings, and it turns out that the lemmings migrate to Ethiopia, where they pick coffee beans, and then they had from Ethiopia, they had to Moroccan coast. They jump into the water with the coffee beans, and they float with the coffee beans to the coast of northern Norway, and then it's during winter time. So and then they dig holes in the snow, and there they lie with the coffee beans, and you know, and with the body heat, the coffee beans slowly gets dark roasted. And the lemmings, they try to reach out to the humanity, because they know humanity really likes coffee. So and yeah, it turns out me and Rolf, we were at the right spot at the right time, and we got the opportunity to spread the coffee of the lemmings to humanity. So yeah.
So your coffee might contain traces of lemming.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a known allergen.
What?
I said, I don't think it's known to be a thing people are allergic to.
No,
But I'm
no.
curious, why dark roast coffee? Because isn't the Nordic style typically a lighter roast?
Yeah, but the winters are really long. So when they come back to Norway with the coffee beans, they sleep under the snow, like the whole winter, and the winter is really long. So like with the body heat, it gets like slowly roasted, but it's a very dark roast. Yeah.
Cool. And
So if you ever meet like lemmings in the springtime, they're really angry, but it's because they protect the coffee beans. So
apart from the lemmings, how did you guys start fishing together?
oh, can't really remember, but think I got inspired from Rolf, as I run the company Lemon Coffee with him, and I think Rolf is really cool. I look up to Rolf, and I started out fly fishing because I wanted to be like him.
And did you film straight away as you started to develop this fly fishing passion, or?
No, I didn't have that good loops, you know, when I cast in the beginning. So Rolf didn't want to film me in the beginning. But now I improved the loops.
That's why Rolf didn't film me in his movie as well.
You're both in my movies.
Yeah.
That's casting.
But it took a couple of years.
Casting once, bad cast, shit fish, and then not again. You know, I know it's because I'm probably the worst angler that's ever been in one of your films, Rolf.
No, but you're casting, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I do cast. You mean in what? Yeah, I have to cast. It's fishing.
Yeah, so I don't know why are you complaining? You're in the movie and you're fishing. Shut the fuck up, guys.
Speaking of which, someone is asking what happened to the cane. That one that broke.
The cane. Well, that cane at the moment is sitting at my work where we have a rod building station. And I'm going to be stripping all the hardware and the reel seat off and then building it on a new blank. I fished with it for, the rest of the year after it broke, and Peter repaired it in the field. But then, I had to get retired. It was getting, the loops were a bit interesting. So I decided, it needs a new, the hardware needs a new home.
So Rolf, this just an observation. Rewatching your movies and seeing the latest movie.
Yeah.
Where the previous movies were a bit more of this like nouvelle vague fly fishing movie approach, I have the feeling that you kind of developing your voice into like a more Hemingway type of, the way that Hemingway was writing, you are filming, I have the feeling. And would you ever consider writing a book? Because I think you will be an excellent writer.
Oh, I love that you say like that. I want more people to say like that, but I think you're wrong though. I haven't tried. No, but I don't think I could write the book. It's sort of what you get in films. You get all the sceneries, like you can. It's a pretty boring book to describe, like books that describe like just nature and sceneries. They get a little bit boring, I think, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, but if it's like, it will be like two pages of where I'm describing like how the grass is moving a little bit with the evening wind, and I don't know. It's like films are it's so much easier to tell stories when I can use like the text or whatever I'm saying, and pictures and music, and it's like you use all of it to get the viewer somewhere in the story, where it's like I don't think I could write a book where then you just have the text. I don't know.
But I really had the feeling that compared to the older movies, you really went away from making visual poetry to be more of a fly fishing reporter, and also in your commentator style. And I really, for me, this was the best movie you've ever made.
Which one? The latest one?
Pokalen.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Well, I don't I don't know. I'm happy to hear that. I have no comments, I guess. It's like I really just, I don't have a plan. I just go fishing, and whatever happens happens. And usually good. It's usually good when the fishing isn't too good, because then there's a struggle, and that's a story, I guess.
But I know there's always in your films, I mean, there's stories within stories within stories, some of which are the story of the trip itself, some of which are perhaps elaborations or imaginations or recreations. And I've always had one kind of burning question, well, I suppose for all of you. Is the Yellow King real? And if he's not real, does it matter?
But I can't answer that question. You know, I've never seen it. Of course, I have my doubts, but yeah, it's for Howard.
I guess, isn't it true, Rolf, that, well, I took you to see the Yellow King more than once, and you actually never saw it. But isn't it true that you talked to some guy, some common acquaintance that actually that can testify to having seen the Yellow King?
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm a believer.
I would say that I'm a believer too. I went the spot that lake where that reach where that net comes in.
Yeah.
When there's that long glide down.
Yeah, but the sad part here is, of course, because when I make my movies, it's the where you went with Peter, right?
Yeah.
That's not where the Yellow King is, because it's like I filmed this partly. Of course, I wouldn't reveal where the Yellow King is in the movie. But you went to another spot. I'm sad to say, but the spot where you went, I guess there is also some kind of king.
Well, the
Maybe.
thing, it's a terrible spot. I mean, it's an amazing spot, but with the mosquitoes, and this is your first exposure for me, it was in that spot. You've walked down there through the pods, all of it. It's not far, but it's far enough when you've never been. And we got there and the conditions were good. And there was a big fish rising in the net. I mean, big fish. So we said, okay, cool. The fishing's on. Let's make camp. Set the fire, made the camp. 3 days, no rises. No fish there, nothing after this one, that thing, not the same fish clearly, but one like it. But for me, I suppose I asked the question because is everybody chasing a yellow king? You know, does every fisherman in some way have that fish?
No, I don't know. But I'm not chasing it. No. I don't need a yellow king. I mean, it's for people like Håvard that spend all their time catching. Like, I'm not fishing that much. Like, I can't fish every week of the summer, and I don't need a 5 kilo fish on a dry fly. I'm happy with the 2 kilo fish.
I don't know. The yellow king is, of course, it is real, but it's also some kind of metaphor, I guess. Yeah, sure. It is sort of the impossible, which is very rarely possible, but sometimes it is, you know. And to get there, you have to either be extremely lucky, which, let's face it, you aren't, or you have to sort of, I don't know. You have to put down a lot of work and time to find that place where you can see the yellow king. And he is real. And I would like to add that place that you visited is also very yellow king-ish. It is one of the best yellow king spots I know. And since it is a yellow king spot, it is really hard going, because that's also a part of the yellow king thing. And that's why this quest for the yellow king sometimes is not so rewarding. I mean, I've done it a lot more than most, I guess. And most of the time you don't catch anything, you don't see anything. It just makes you miserable and sad. So it's a lot better to go fishing somewhere where it's happening, you know, where there's more fish but this trophy hunting can, which is what it is, can make you it doesn't make you happy. It just makes you a bad person.
So I have one question, and then we're gonna go to the questions of the viewers, because people are starting to ask questions. The music is a very integral part of your films, and also the ambiance. How is your collaboration in creating a sound score for these films?
Well, most, like, it's really simple. I know a few people that make music, and they make really good music, so I can use. I don't know if you're not allowed to take everything. I don't know the copyright laws really, but like with Yas and Fly Fishing, they have gave me their permission for me to use it, and it's like I have some sound files, like I've used them so much. It's like, I don't know what that is, Håvard, but it's like 20 minutes long songs where you're like jamming together, and it's like, I don't know. The best part about Yas and Fly Fishing music that I use in my films is where it's like the feeling is never really. It's not like, okay, I want the happy song, and then you get only. If you would be like a TV producer searching for happy songs, then you will get like only happy, where it's like it contains a lot more feelings, and happiness is pretty much perhaps like peaking in there sometimes. But yeah, and then also in Marcus' friend up in Gällivare, Torbjörn Öhman, I've used his music a lot, and he has a really, really sort of mystical sound to his songs that are sometimes perhaps a little bit, I guess sometimes it could perhaps become too sad with my voiceover, where it's like also a little bit slow. But I really, really like the sound of what he's making. And then Christian Mattsson, the tallest man on earth, I have some sound files from him. But I guess that's it pretty much. And then I take a little Johan Airioke or whatever but it's really friends.
But that's also, that adds to the charm of the entire movie. It's not some sound stock, cheesy blah 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 song that's in the average fly fishing movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it seems really deliberate what you're doing, really like calculated and.
Yeah, but I guess one thing that I'm doing, that I don't edit something and then put music in there. I edit to music. Like it's almost whenever there's a song, like the cut is made to the music, and not all the time, but mainly. It's like the music I choose is sort of deciding the pace of the movie. I know some people that edit and then put a song in there, but I never do like that. Or sometimes I do like that, but that's because it's like, oh, you can't use this song or something, and I don't recut it.
But I have to say, Rolf, that you also make really good songs yourself, and you're a very musical guy, and you've written some really good songs yourself, and I guess that's why that's why it's so natural for you to edit to music. It's because you like music so much and listen so much to music, and you can really tell from your movies that you listen to music in a very sort of it moves you a lot, and that's why I think I can hear that you're really into the music. So I can really understand why you often pick the music first, so to speak, because. But also, you've used some of your own compositions in the films also. Although modest as you are, you would never mention that. But I'll mention it. Rolf really makes some really good songs also.
Thanks.
Yeah, we're gonna stick some feathers up your ass this evening, Rolf.
Oh, nice.
Matteo, do we have some questions coming in from the?
Yeah, sure. I mean, since we are talking about music, and music is a big part of your films, Rolf, there's a big fan asking. Also, dialogues and monologues are very important in your films, and if you could explain how you elaborate and you record to audios, and also use multiple microphones or so, just explain a bit how you produce his monologues and dialogues in your films, please.
I didn't really understand like how I record the monologues. That's like my voiceover.
Yeah, but I think it's more like how you do that. You do, I think, when you are in the field or at home, or so it's basically how you record, how you elaborate the audio.
Yeah, so how I record, I go out with the camera, and then I'm standing behind like Håvard Stube, who is just like talking all the time. And then I press record, and he's talking, and I guess that's how I do it. But with a voiceover, I'm recording. I bought some like the cheapest sort of sound kit where it's like record your own songs to do. I don't know what it's called. Like yeah, but I have a microphone just in the computer, and I'm just talking. It's really simple how I like the technical part of what I'm doing. I've never been a complicated guy.
I think that, I mean, let's see if this big fan is gonna ask you something more, but I guess that you get to the point.
We have another question for Marcus. You've been both in Pokalen and also, I believe, you were involved in the shaku hunting. For you, which is the greatest prize, the shaku or Pokalen?
Yeah, but I never caught a shaku fish. So yeah, I guess the Pokalen because I never caught the shaku fish. We saw some, but I was too bad at casting at that point.
Yeah,
Today
but
I'm really good at casting. So today we go back. I will join the shaku hunters.
But of course you would choose shaku over the winning Pokalen.
Yeah, but the Pokalen is also really nice because as we went fishing, the Pokalen, it's you, Rolf, and Håvard, these great fishermen. And if I would get the Pokalen in the end, that would be a dream, because that should be saying something that I'm in the same league as these giants in fly fishing.
What is a shaku? What is shaku really? What is shaku? Explain.
Shaku is from what I know, it's the Japanese measurement of this bone. But apparently
30.3 centimeters.
30.3 centimeters.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that's.
And is it just for Ivana or also for Yamame?
But I mean, come on, if you catch a shaku Yamame, then you're up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible, but.
Now that measurement of the forearm, is that the angler's forearm or just a standard measurement? Because obviously if you're very small, it makes it easier to catch a shaku than if you're very big. If you're the tallest man on earth, you'd never catch a shaku.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, but it's some kind of
really interesting. Like I guess it was lost in translation for us how the rules work there, but yeah.
But it's some kind of really old Japanese measurement they called shaku. It's 30.3 centimeters.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty big fish in those waters.
Yeah, it is.
So are you planning to return to catch the shaku? Maybe there's another film in that role.
Yeah, but I don't know if we're worthy. It's like we didn't achieve the shaku status, or I don't know how to say, but and then I don't know, we're not gonna fuck with the climate so much, so we're not gonna go there until we know, like, okay, now it's happening. Now we're probably gonna work a few years with our casting skills and you know, work out and like. I think you need to be kind of fit to get through those tunnels and shit. So me and Marcus have developed a training program, which it's like 10 years ahead, and then 2032 or something, we're gonna go to Japan. Yeah.
Will you also go to Hokkaido in the north, or?
I don't know, man.
Yeah, but to be a shaku hunter, it's on a certain region in Japan. What was it called? The region, Rolf? It's
around Nikko, probably, right?
What?
It's around
the region where you have to be a shaku hunter. You have to catch the fish in a certain region in Japan.
Yeah, where Sendai is.
Yeah.
It probably doesn't count on. Yeah. It doesn't count on Hokkaido, right? Because the fish are probably bigger there.
Yeah, of course.
It's close to Kamchatka, of course, like the fish are.
And guys, sorry, since you are hearing about Japan, Kamchatka, are you planning to go to the other side of the Pacific, to Pacific Northwest, Canada, chasing steelhead maybe?
For me, it's like I was really, really into traveling and fly fishing a few years ago, but now it's like where Håvard is living, that's where I want to be. Like, it is, I don't know if it's the best fishing in the world, but it's the right kind of fishing. It's also like if you go to, I don't know, New Zealand, or like if you travel too far where it's like it feels more like it's not the same price. You feel more like a tourist that is like, oh, holding up different fish. But it's like if I'm in the northern part of Sweden, there's like, you know, I've been longing for those trouts my whole life, and I have a deeper relation with them. I don't know how to say.
Actually,
Yeah.
my favorite movie that you made is The Creek, because it's so small and close to your house.
Yeah.
And it really, the love of fly fishing and going through your local waters and try to fish where you can. I think you made a really nice portrait of local fishing and being out with your son, and that was very beautiful.
Thank you. Thanks.
I mean,
It's a really good piece. Sorry, it's a really good piece, The Creek. I agree, and for me with the traveling, I mean, as a musician, you obviously travel a good deal, and one of the main reasons I decided to settle here in Narvik again after being born and raised here, and then spending many years in Oslo, was the fishing, because was being closer to it, really, and having these creeks, just like Rolf, close to where I live, and since I travel so much with the music, it is like it doesn't really appeal that much to me to go around the earth, at least not in summer, I have to say, because in winter it's a little bit of a different story. It's much more appealing to go to Patagonia or New Zealand, but in summer, I don't really want to travel anywhere.
I think this is also kind of reflective of a mood in fly fishing, where people are thinking about their impact, you know, about the cost for the environment and elsewhere to be traveling to these destinations, you know, with the rise of the kind of the Rep Your Water movement and that kind of thing. People recognizing that there's good fishing, maybe not just trout, but, you know, other species that's close at hand that, you know, can be, if you want to use the word ethical, you can, or sustainable, whatever it is. But people are starting to think differently. It's not just Seychelles or New Zealand or something else. There's a world of fishing. Do we have more questions from the audience? Maybe. I guess there must be some coming in.
Yeah. What's your favorite skateboarding movie from the 2000s?
I saw the other day a Swedish movie called Jante 1034, 1032, I think, 34. That was really good movie. Swedish.
And also, sorry, I want to come back to trophy fish, because, for instance, for where I come from, trophy fish is probably the smallest fish you caught on your film, and so there's also why people want to travel. And in your films, it seems that when you catch two large fish, it's super easy, super simple. While, for instance, where I come from, it's not at all. Are two fish tricky to catch? Are selective? I mean, you should really herd them, or it's like you cast and they just rise because there is no pressure. Fishing is very unknown to the fish.
Yeah. Like, do you mean if I didn't really get that. What if the fishing is easy? Yeah, sometimes it is super easy.
Yeah, it's because traveling is not good for environmental reasons, but I understand people that want to travel because actually they live in places where you can catch those large fish. Well, you're lucky enough to live in a place that is a dream place.
Definitely.
And it really looks like that they are easy to catch, but probably because we live in a place where those fish doesn't really live.
Yeah, first of all, like where I'm living, I have to travel. I have to take the train like 6 hours north to get to the good spots. Where I'm living, it's like we have the forest creeks here, and it's like I catch this size fish in my home creeks, and but I mean, like, where I go with fishing up north, it's like it's not that easy. If I go fishing a week, then I might get like one good fish some weeks, and it's I don't know, it's but I see if you don't live where the fishing is good, you have to travel. But I mean, you can create your own adventure wherever you are. It's like there are something to catch if you want to go fly fishing, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's while it is true that the fishing pressure is lower, a lot of people don't realize about the areas above the Arctic Circle or close to the Arctic Circle, north, is that the weather is the big problem usually. On like a week, maybe you have like 1 or 2 days which have decent conditions, and maybe you get like 3, 4, 5 days even of very, very hairy conditions. Like storms from the Atlantic and stuff. Like I guess you can see in some of those pieces where we have these discussions on the phone and we're reading the weather report, and that's not made up. It's from our phone conversation where it's like, okay, tomorrow 2 degrees. Tuesday 3, gale force wind, then 1 degrees, So, and then it's useless. You can't catch anything. So I guess fishing in these Arctic areas is a lot about reading the weather report and having the freedom to choose when to fish. Because if you decide on a week, if you decide like a lot of people do who come to the north to fish, they decide, okay, we're going to go to this place, and it's going to be from say 7th of July till 14th of July. And sometimes that's really good. Sometimes that's not even fishable, So that's the joker up here. It's the weather, which is hairy.
And if you like, I think it was Håvard's good friend Arne who said, like, if you have chosen which week you're gonna go fishing, you need to have the possibility to choose the place where you're going. So you can't decide like I'm going this week, I'm going to that river. It's like, okay, so we're going the first week of August or something, and then you have to be able to choose like from the whole of Sweden, I guess. It's like, and see where you find a spot where the weather seems good, because it's like you can be by the best river in the world and have shitty weather, and it's like it's useless. It's better to be by the weather is everything, I guess.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
And if there's like you have chosen where to go, what spot you want to fish, then you need to be able to choose what time to go there, so you don't lock. That's why fly fishing can be so complicated to combine with like having a family or friends in general that are not fly fishers, I guess.
Yeah, it's a combination of factors, right? If everything in the climate is okay for fishing, does not mean that your family is okay for you going.
Exactly. So that's the third factor, and you have to have all these things align.
Yeah.
To catch the yellow king.
Yeah.
So there's people dying to know about klinkhammers. This question was gonna come.
No, it's like
Rolf, there was the question that we got asked before was well, actually for Håvard, which is, what's your feeling about the black klinkhammer?
The black klinkhammer is complicated, really, because I never really used it because Rolf accused me of being a jazz snob and some kind of left-wing elitist, and I thought about it for a while, and well, I had to admit that it's partly true. But
Because the klinkhammer was invented by a foreigner.
no, nothing like that. It's just because it's a little bit vulgar. It's a little bit like the woolly bugger of the dry flies, you know. So when first time me and Rolf fished together, he suggested that I put on the black klinkhammer, and I thought it was a joke because, you know. and then I realized that he was actually serious, and so I put on the black klinkhammer and I caught a fish straight away.
Yeah.
So I have a very complicated relationship. It's a love and hate relationship, really.
Yeah, but the thing is, if I choose in a bar, I have to choose a beer. And then I just say, okay, I want a lager beer. I want a beer. I don't want it to be, okay, I want this little special beer. I want just a lager beer. the simple, and that's klinkhammer for me. Perhaps it should be more like Kites Imperial or something, but it's like this the simple simple dry fly.
I have to admit that you sort of turned me around on the klinkhammer, because you have a very good point, and I've started using it quite a bit. And
and you know, if people that don't want to drink like lager beer, they go, okay, now we're going for the IPA, and now we're going for here, and now it's like in the end they come back to drinking lager beer. Like and it's the same with flies. You can like, okay, I'm gonna tie white flies with this new material, and it's like, but Kites Imperial or klinkhammer, that's like, it's enough.
But then obviously the klinkhammer does not fit into Halford's floating flies and how to dress them. But I would suggest, you know, while I don't think that, you know, Hovard is a devotee of Halfordianism, I do have one word, or is it two words, right? Ismopuppa. Is that one word or two words? Because to my mind, as somebody who grew up on the chalk, that's a dirty fly.
Yeah, it is. It is a dirty fly. That is true. It is a dirty fly, but it is a fly made for a certain situation, which I have to say that you know, Ismo Hyvärinen, he's one of the few people, like since Halford, who really invented something a little bit new, and it's this. I don't know if it's brand new, but this combination of this balsa wood to imitate the swimming pupas, which are very, very plentiful, for example, in Finnmark. So Rolf made this beautiful piece about the Ismopuppa, and a beautiful song indeed about the Ismopuppa. And it sort of describes also the feelings you get towards the Ismopuppa. First time you see it, you think, is it supposed to be some kind of micro-rappala? What is this thing? Is it some kind of lure? But then when you see the natural, and you see how selective the fish get on the natural, and you realize that you don't even have to, you know, dry the fly. You can just throw it out there, and they attack it like crazy. Of course, it's only on those conditions, because if they're feeding on mayflies, they will just come up and bump the Ismo. But when they're really feeding on these swimming caddis pupas, it's the bomb, man. And you know, and in that video you could really see Rolf moving around from very skeptical, thinking it's a nasty fly, to could I maybe borrow one of those flies a little bit. So it is a very good imitation of the natural insect. Of course, some people probably make huge ismos, which is a rapala, and then they fish them like a popper, which is, well, that's foul play. That's obvious.
It kind of plays into a question that's popping up, because ML is asking, how selective are the trophy trout in Scandinavia, or are they very opportunistic? Depends on the situations, I guess.
Yeah, but I mainly when we go fishing, like when we made these like Pokalen and floating flies, or like it's like the beginning of the summer. It's if they're not very picky, you just have to find them, and you have to. It's like if you get to the good spot and you have good weather, then it's not difficult.
No, but I agree completely.
Yeah.
That's the difficult part, is to find the good spots, because the good spots are not like advertised on the internet, you know. So you have to find the good spots, you have to figure it out, and then you have to hit the exact right time, which is also some kind of weird combination of guessing and some kind of intuition and some kind of sheer luck. And then you have to be there, and if there's a big fish rising like a machine, well, they usually take most flights. Sometimes they don't, but usually they do.
Do trout eat lemmings?
Yeah.
Is there a lemming hatch?
There's like the lemmings, they come, I don't know how, like, I don't know the English words for it, but like the population curve is like some years the population will peak, like, I don't know, every 5th year or 10 year or something. It's get a lot of, like the mouse years in New Zealand, I guess. Like we have lemmings years, but I've never caught a trout on a lemming, and I've never seen a lemming eat a trout.
If only fly
trout
fishermen
eat
would
a
do
lemming, I guess.
If only fly fishermen would do this, like build up a population on the river, there's too many fishermen, and then they all throw themselves off a cliff.
Yeah, but that's exactly what's happening up in northern Sweden, where it's like the population, or like there's like a spot that becomes very popular. It's like, for example, if somebody's making a film or something.
You mean Sikajoki?
Then it might peak, but then it's like after 5 years, it's like empty there, and then. That's I guess that's how it is with, but it's so many spots in Sweden, so you can always find a spot where you're by yourself.
In the creek, you had a contemplation about your son maybe not becoming a fly fisherman. How's the current situation with that?
I don't know. It changes every week, but for now it's still snow and ice on the lakes, so. We haven't really discussed the topic this year. We'll see.
Yeah, are there plans for something coming this year? And you know, you told me your process. You just film during the fishing and then edit over the winter, Rolf. But do you have something in mind for what's coming up?
I don't know. I hopefully. Yeah, I guess we're having some. We have made some preparations and. Preparations. We had talk the other day, and we have a plan. We really want to get to a spot where it's a little complicated, and sometimes poaching isn't the right way to attack a spot. And we have to do some lobby work to get things going.
Was there a hint to that in Pokalen about the river that is only fishable by the senior executives of a certain company? Was that the hint to your plan?
No. That's another. We never film each other fishing that spot.
I know we had.
It's really nice how you guys managed to, like, because fly fishing can be like a really elitist and snobbish pastime, and also jazz music can be the area of the elite drinking the drinks and
yeah, sure.
But it's really wonderful that you managed to keep it like into the real world. And is this something that just happened? Or is this something that was planned or strategized?
I think with Rolf's stuff, it's just the main thing is that it's very, very, very true, most of it. You know, like 99.99% of what is just the reality. And then he's just a very, very good photographer and a very, very good storyteller. So he can sort of make these things come together and get some kind of deeper story into it also, if you look for it. But it's basically just the truth, I guess.
Yeah, but we do, like me and Marcus, we do spend a lot of time like trying to get Howard to lower, not be so snobby. Yeah. It's mainly like we stop recording. It's like, okay, Howard, now really keep it together. Get down to our level now.
Maybe you should do like a Howard edit.
No, but it's like Howard said. We don't have a plan. It's like we like to go fishing, and I like to make films. And I guess we're snobby also in our own ways, in some way, I guess, like we all are.
But I think that approach, I mean, at least my experience when you were filming was that after a while the camera's just always there. You know, you're just there from the morning and all throughout. The camera's around, and so you develop this kind of intimacy, sort of with you and the camera and what's happening. And the great shock for me was seeing some of the shots that you're able to take. I know there have been some questions from the audience about, you know, have you got recommendations about how best to, you know, like get shots of flies and rising trout with a short depth of field and that kind of stuff. But do you find that your technical ability came out of the sort of filming for snowboarding and for skateboarding, or is it something that you've worked on? There's a few people who'd like to know a bit more about technically how you approach the challenges of capturing some of those magical scenes that you get, one of which was in, you know, the small clip where you, Marcus, lost, infamously, to my mind, lost it and Satan, you know. How do you manage to do that? Is it just luck, or is it something that you're going into a situation prepared to do?
Yeah, I guess it's luck. I don't know, like a few years ago, I filmed a lot more like, okay, now I'm gonna go and film a rise and spend time trying to get, but now it's just luck, I guess. I've filmed like, I don't know, but filming fly fishing, it's like, if you're a good fly fisher, I guess you're a good fly fishing filmer. I don't know. It's like with I don't know. If you spend a lot of time fly fishing, you know, like, okay, now the next rise probably is gonna come over here. Like the water is not that fast, so it might be moving. I don't know. It's the same with filming. It's like
that is very true.
Yeah.
Because I just do, because that's your skill really, because you're a really good fisherman, and because you read the water all the time and you can tell where things happen. Because I had this experience with the filming with I was fishing, and there was this professional camera guys filming me, and they knew a lot about filming, but they didn't know shit about fishing, so they didn't get anything, you know, because they didn't understand what was actually going on, or they couldn't anticipate what was going to happen because they didn't understand the game, in a way. So for you, I guess you don't, Rolf, you don't really think about it. You just know that, okay, it's going to pop up there, or now it's probably gonna take. And of course that you don't have to be that lucky if you understand, if you can anticipate what's going to happen.
So we have a question coming in from Stefan Altenburger. So are there any other filmmakers that you enjoy watching, or that they inspire you, that you take away into your work?
Yeah. I don't know if I have any names, but it's like I see stuff that inspires me all the time, and I don't know. But it is. I'm not watching so much fly fishing films these days, but it's like skateboard movies. Yeah, that inspires me. But maybe not so much the story in the skateboard movies, but like the pace of the cut, how they cut together, and yeah, I don't know. I should have a lot of examples to say now, but I can't come up with.
Well, to turn it around, Rolf, maybe for those people who are watching, who, you know, are inspired by your work, and who are interested in trying to take up, you know, even just in a small way, filming themselves. I remember having a conversation where you said, you know, you basically just started out with a DSLR, right, with a little mic on the top, and that's how you got down, and then, you know, moved to a tripod. So for somebody who was aspiring to get into it, could you maybe say something about, on the one hand, like what's the real basics that you need, but two, you know, what do you need to know? Do you basically need to work on your fishing to be a good good videographer, or, you know, what would you recommend for aspiring filmmakers?
I don't know, just whatever. If you have an idea, just go for it, and it doesn't matter, like there's no need to have the best camera in the world, or you can do whatever, like I don't know, it's like you find your own road if you just try. And sometimes it might, like, you get down the wrong path or something, but it's like you try to copy the ones that you like, and then when you get good at copying, then you get bored at copying, so then you start to do your own things, I guess.
And that's the same way you learn how to play music, right? It's exactly the same. I think it's the same with most things that you want to learn, really want to learn. You start by copying, and then you copy a lot, and then in that process, you develop all the technical skills on your instrument. And at some point, you run out of all the copied stuff. And then, without really knowing it, you sort of develop a personal style, if you just stay at it, I guess. I think it has a lot to do with persistence, copying and imitating, and then that's at least how it is in music. Like, if some kid comes up to me and asks me, how can I learn how to play jazz guitar? And there is only one way. It's to copy, like, the giants, you know, Wes Montgomery or whoever, you know, or listen to Jimi Hendrix, for that matter, or whoever, and copy that. And when you got that down, and you can play.
And I think this is true. You're right to say this with a lot of things in life. You know, Cary Grant famously said, you know, everybody said you're so stylish, and he said the essence of style is finding something you like and copying it until you're not copying anymore.
So Marcus, do you copy these two virtuosos a lot when you see them fly fishing?
Well, was it a question for me?
Yeah. I saw you lonely in the hellfire, and I decided to get you back into it.
Yeah, but yeah, what was the question?
So, because you said that your friends are virtuosos on the fly rod, do you watch them a lot and learn from them?
I don't know. Yeah, you know, I live nearby good waters, and you know, I use fishing for going out, and you know, it's a lot of work and family. Every time when I go out fishing, it's to clear my mind. It's not that I want to get like the best fisherman. For me, it's something bigger in fishing. You know, to clear my mind and come out in the nature and spend time with great friends, and yeah, I don't know, cooking food over open fire, or drinking coffee and the scenery and everything. So that's pretty much why I started. You know, it's also a good like a goal to go out in the nature, to have something to do. You know. Going out in the nature to take a hike and watch, it's pretty boring. But if you have something to do, like fly fishing, it's a perfect thing for me. You have a certain like goal why you're out and in the nature, you know. So yeah.
If you were on a trip, Marcus, I know that you're very passionate about snus, but you're also passionate about coffee. If you were faced with a situation where you could only take your fishing gear and coffee or snus, which one do you have to have for the trip?
Yeah, but that's snooze.
Yeah.
Snooze
Yeah.
is, yeah, but you know, it's for me, snooze is also, it's a lot of people, they need, it's a very, it's hard to find the peak of happiness. You know, some people, they have to climb the biggest mountain and get the perfect powder turns in the best like weather to get really happy. But for me, every time when I take a snooze, I'm at the maximum peak of happiness. So yeah, I would say snooze.
Yeah, in some way it's like the complete opposite of fly fishing, because fly fishing you have this idea of you're gonna get to the water and it's all gonna be perfect, and it rarely happens. You spend your whole winter dreaming about like being at the spot. But then snooze, that is like having the dream and getting it every day.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's your preferred brand of snus? I mean, for myself, I prefer Gothenburg, but I'm curious to know where you at.
Are we doing tobacco commercials now?
Sorry, other brands of snus are available.
But for me, it's a brand called Kronan Lös. It's the loose stuff, you know. It's also the small bags, but for me, it's the loose snus. So that's my standard snus to go to. But on Fridays here at the office, I always have the snus buffet, and then I buy like 10 different brands of loose snus, and all the people that drop by here, they can take snus from the snus buffet.
Okay.
Do we have any more questions coming in, Matteo?
Yeah, we have one funny for Havor. So, do you wash your blue shirt, or is it a part of your mojo?
Do I? Sorry.
Do you wash your blue shirt, or is it part of your mojo?
Excellent question. Well, it's very disappointing answer. I have I think I have maybe 15 shirts like that, because since I go filming myself a little bit from time to time, and then it's very practical to have the same outfit, because then sometimes filming yourself, as Rolf can testify to, is extremely difficult, because you have just even one more thing that can and will go wrong. So it's a little bit like if you have the same shirt on you, then you can sort of pretend that it was in the same clip and you can cut it together. So that's why I started using the same shirt, the blue shirt. And then, well, it became some kind of trademark, I guess. And since I have 15 of them or something, it's sort of, it's a very natural choice in my extensive walk-in wardrobe to pick out the blue shirt. It's basically the shirt I have. So, but I have many of them. So,
would you say a light-colored shirt is a non-conventional choice? I mean, you're obviously a very good fisherman if you can catch monster hog trout wearing the brightest shirt in the world. Or is it part of your camouflage against the sky? Why in the beginning the blue shirt?
Well, there's actually one thing that a lot of people don't realize. It's that a shirt, it doesn't have to be light blue, but a shirt which is like that, the kind of shirt that you can have, at work or anywhere. A shirt like that is, the mosquitoes have a very, very hard time stinging through it. Whereas if you have like a t-shirt or even like a thin woolen sweater, which I have now, the mosquitoes will just use it like a landing pod to attack you. But those kinds of shirts they can't penetrate it. So it also has a very practical side with the shirt. As with regard to the camouflage, I don't know. I think, well, this is just theories, but I think it's the silhouette that does the trick more than the color. And of course, it also adds some sky camouflage. I don't know. We can theorize, but I haven't seen any noticeable difference between wearing a light blue shirt or wearing, say, an olive shirt. I could maybe I should start experimenting with that, but I haven't really seen much of a difference. But the main thing is that the mosquitoes cannot sting through it. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, but if you're so if that's such a important thing for you, maybe you should close the buttons. It's a super good idea. Like you get protected.
Or
You
you wear a net. Do the mosquitoes that just don't bite you? Or I mean, how is it that I know when I was there, it was. I mean, the first 2 days were unbearable. There were bites on bites on bites.
Yeah,
I had gloves on, soaked in DDT. Like, how do you? Are you just very hard? Are you, or did you acclimatize? How do you deal with, the drawings that Peter did of all the flies? How do you do it?
Like you get stings and you get swollen. I get swollen, and it's like, but it's like as long as you don't let them fuck with your mind, then you're safe. Like, cause like the bites and the itching, that's all right. It's not, but it's like if you start to let the mosquitoes like become something, then you're gone. Like then you will lose your mind. It's like you just have to accept that it's like it's a lot of mosquitoes and you can't do shit about it. But mosquitoes, that's like easy. But the small ones, the small black flies that we call svia or something, it's like, yeah, that's really hard.
They're really hard. Those we don't really, because in that film Pokalen, we were a little bit further south in Västerbotten, which is still far north, but it's a little bit further south. And up in the far north, where we did the floating flies, for example, that section of floating flies, and also the mosquitoes and mayflies that you did, Rolf. In that part, they don't really exist there, not in those amounts. Anyways,
no, not at all. It's like it's something, I don't know. It feels like you get them further south in Sweden. Like in Umeå, we don't have them so much, but in the mountains of Västerbotten, yeah. But also like down south in Dalarna, it's like
Yeah, but they're harder to cope with because they literally get into your eyes and stuff, and that can really mess you up. But the mosquitoes, you can learn to sort of. I have to say, Jack, that place, I think I know where you were, and I've had like very seasoned Lapland fishermen lose their mind there at that very spot. So it is probably one of the worst places in the world for mosquitoes. That is true.
The thing that made me lose my mind there was the fact that I saw that fish. For me, my yellow king was there. I saw it, one rise, 3 days, nothing, just sitting in the smoke of the fire, chain smoking cigarettes, covered in DDT, with nothing, right? And then just trying everything. And you could go downstream, and there would be a fish down there, but that's not what you've come for.
No,
that's not the sickness that drives you. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
We've really skirted around both of these films, Rolf, both Floating Flies and also Pokalen, are dry fly fishing films. They're distinct. In the same way that in Floating Flies, there's, you came to the chalk and then you're up north. They're distinct. But there is something about dry fly fishing, which is, you describe at the start of the film, there's that moment of sort of unalloyed happiness, right? But for me, it's somehow more addictive than that. I don't know. I didn't start out catching fish on dry flies, right? But it's more than just the catch, but it's everything that goes with it. It's the matching of the hatches, so the whole thing. I wonder how you guys feel that you got sucked in or addicted to the dry fly.
Yeah, but it's like it's the perfect game, or how to say, like you get rewarded but not too much, and it's like you have, it's like, I don't know, dry fly fishing, it's like you have everything there. You have to like understand nature, or how to say, like you have to at least like I don't know. You're like I can't.
For me, I think a lot of fly fishing is not about where you're going or how you're casting or the rest of it. It's about noticing things. Right? It's the ability to look, to see, what's hatching, what's rising, what fish are eating, right? It's all of that looking and observing, and in some ways,
sadomasochism.
sorry?
And sadomasochism.
Yeah. And
Oh
obviously
yes,
so much
indeed.
season. I mean, because lots of people who, you know, fish, you know, say that, oh, you're a dry fly snob, in the same way you could be a jazz snob or you could be a beer snob. But dry fly fishing it's not about snobbery for me. It's almost the opposite, that you have to just abase yourself, you punish yourself.
Yeah.
you suffer and kind of you accept that this is the least effective way of fly fishing, which is probably the least effective way of catching fish.
Yeah, but
Perverse.
yeah, it is the least. But if you're there in like when it's happening, that one day where it's actually happening, then it's a really good way of catching fish.
Did you guys worry when you found that pool? You know the pool I mean. You know the one where you were in one of the, was it in floating flies, where you and the fish are just on it, and there was just fish after fish after fish.
Yeah.
Do you ever worry that things like that will just spoil it for you forever? Like you cannot, you know, you cannot
because
go beyond.
No, because you can't repeat it. It's like it won't. No, like if you, there's sometimes I've been to like, wow, this river, it was so perfect, and that day was so good. But if you go back there, then it's like you can't achieve the same. I don't think it ever can spoil.
No, and it doesn't last either. It never lasts, you know.
No.
I mean, how long did that session, that magic there, which was it was just like the day was so slow. It was hard going. We had very low expectation. Okay, we were thinking this is going to be shit. We're probably going to have a very hard time catching anything. And then all of a sudden, it's like this rift in reality, and it's just like, what is this? And it lasts for, I don't know, half an hour maybe, and then the rain starts coming, cold weather, game over. So you only get this.
Then you get one night where you're getting drunk happy. But then you wake up hungover and start to chase your dream again.
I'd like to suggest that maybe we could call it the Halford zone, you know, like the Twilight Zone. When you fall into it, it's all consuming. But anyway, I'm talking too much about dry flies. I think there's probably, Matteo, are there some questions? Are there people watching this? I don't know.
I have a very important question. How do you bring the alcohol, and how do you bring enough alcohol that far north?
Well, we start with going to the alcohol store, and then we buy vast quantities of alcohol, and then we carry them on our backs. That's basically what we do. But we don't really drink that much. I have to. If you get the impression that we're drinking heavily, I would say that has happened on occasions, but it's not the norm, because as we know, drinking very heavily messes you up and makes you unable to do anything. So that's why it has happened that we have gotten drunk, but it's not really about drinking, I would say, because we can drink at home.
Guys, there are a few more questions, and the first one I want to address to Rolf is about dialogue, monologue related question. I did it before. I got the clarification on the question is, do you have only a mic with the camera?
Anything. So,
sorry?
What was that?
No, there was a bit of interference. I think the question Matteo was saying is, do you only use a single mic when you're on the river filming, or do you have some kind of a setup?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I have a single mic, like just a video microphone. I think it's called the Röde Video Pro mic. It's like
the cheapest one on Amazon. I have the same one.
Yeah, it's the cheapest one, I guess. But it's yeah, that's what I have. And then, but I don't know what with the dialogues and whatever. It's like, I think what I'm doing is like I have never, I don't think I've ever done where it's like, okay, now can you sneak up here and say wow and talk a little bit about. I'm never like I never tell people what they're gonna do. I'm just following around with the camera, and so it's like I don't.
And you should be careful when Rolf asks you. I remember when we were filming and you asked me, so tell me about the history of these rivers. So I just explained. And then the trailer for the movie was you asking me the question, then you just fast forward through the whole answer.
And also, Rolf, do you have any tips for filming white-throated deeper underwater?
Sorry, when the trout is deep in the water?
No, any tips for filming white-throated deeper? I think they are the birds.
Sorry,
the birds, I guess.
Wow, such a good question. I don't know. What I'm only filming them winter time, where it's like they come down from the mountains and get to the, because when the freezing starting, then the mountains get frozen, mountain rivers get frozen, and they all like push the white-throated dippers down to the coast. And then we have a little creek here in Umeå where it's like the easiest spot in the world to film white-throated dipper. So I just go there and then I watch them for a while and like, okay, so they're diving there all the time. And then I go spook them and put the GoPro on the water. And then I go away and wait till they return. And then I film them on the water, I guess.
Okay. And there is one more question. I think that could be like the hand question is, what are your dream places for fishing in the Nordics? If you have one, of course.
Yeah. And it's yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna say my dream spot. but it's like the northern part of Sweden. That's where I like to fish. And I guess it like the mountain, is it called in English? What's the mountain ridge called between Norway and Sweden? Skandinavia in Swedish. Yeah. It's like the rivers on that mount on those mountains, and like up north, of course. That's where I want to go. And I'm changing preparations all the time, but I think I'm really into like meandering sand bottom rivers. They are like the water shouldn't be too fast, but I like to see the fish.
Well, you should come back to the chalk. They're very easy to see here, as you remember.
Yeah, but you. Yeah.
There was also a bit more submerged underwater shots in Pokalen.
Yeah.
Or is it me?
No, I had a GoPro.
Ah.
I bought a GoPro. It's the best camera.
It really,
you can just put it on the water.
It really added to the experience of the movie. I think it's a really good set.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's cool, but it's really like the clarity of the water is everything, I guess. And up north, it's so beautiful.
So we are 1.5 hours in. 97 people have watched.
Wow.
On an average of 25 minutes, and there's 20 people watching now. Do we want to keep going, or do we want to do this again?
I don't know. I have nothing to say, but Howard has always things to say. You want to listen?
Well, I don't know. I would love. I really like the idea of doing this again sometime. I think that's a really, really good plan. I think it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad that there's some people found the time to listen to us ramble about these topics.
But we want to thank you, because I think you guys have a very big influence in the fly fishing community and quite a loyal following. And I think what you guys are doing is really refreshing. And so thank you for what you guys are bringing to the community.
Yeah, it's really tremendous, and it's nice to be able to just have an open, honest conversation about fishing. You know, it's I think refreshing for us and for everyone who's been involved. I don't know if we have to do like a mandatory thing now. We say, you know, I'm glad you've enjoyed the stream. For those of you who are watching, do please check out all of our stuff online. You can find out more about Rolf's stuff, about Lemon Cafe, about jazz and fly fishing, which is probably how you came to this in the first place. If you want to check out a bit more about the Fly Connection, we have a manifesto online. If you're into chatting on Discord, that's good. Otherwise, keep your eyes posted, and we'll be putting up more artworks, more interesting things, and trying to really get the ball rolling with exactly the kind of evening that we've had this evening. So, yeah, to all of you, to Rolf, to Marcus, to Ovid, and also to Matteo and to Peter. Yeah, thanks so much. It's been really tremendous.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah.
I